Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
I just love looking at her team's work. She and her team do this amazing redesign when it comes to interior design. And it's very custom, very detailed, and we're going to learn more about that. If you're in a living space, or maybe you're looking at changing your space and just want something that truly addresses you and your passion, then you need to talk to Nicole Fisher. She is back with us. She is the person behind BNR Designs, and she does great work everywhere in the New York metro area or wherever you need her to be. Welcome back. How you doing today?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing great.
Livable luxury is what you're all about. And looking on your website, share your website, by the way, with everybody if they want to follow along.
Our website's bnrinteriors.com.
So we're going to focus on a project today, kind of walk through this journey with you as you did with the people that hired you to do this project, which is in Westchester, New York, just outside of New York City. And why don't we start? Who are these people? Who are we working for today?
Absolutely. These are young professionals. They have 3 children, all in teenager ages. They've kind of grown out of their family home. They've grown out of what, the home that they brought their kids into. They got a new puppy. They're just, now we're talking sports and plays and all the things that come with having a brood of children. And they really needed something that was bigger and was more accustomed to their daily life. And one of the things that they really asked me for that I thought was so interesting and kind of like catapulted the whole design was they wanted their house to be the house that the kids wanted to hang out in. So they wanted their kids to want their friends to come over and that to be the hub. So as they grew, it was the cool spot to be.
Nice.
And I love that because when I was growing up, I would want to go to my friends who had the cooler houses, and had really designated amazing spaces for us to be in. And we really tried to do that here.
I sold a house 2 years ago, and I bought that house about 7 years before, and that was my goal. However, I went wrong. It was a learning experience. I assumed what my kids wanted. So I didn't have a basement with the house before. This one I did. It was a better school district. It was all good, all good. And so I have this finished basement. So I put in gaming chairs and I put an air hockey table and I put a, awesome screen TV in there and hookups for all my son's video games and everything. They hardly spent any time in the basement. And I think it's because, I didn't ask clearly what they wanted. I just assumed what they wanted. And I love doing that kind of stuff. Maybe in another life, I could have been an interior designer because I'm passionate about it. It was fun and I'm geeky. So, ran wires through the walls and I hooked it all up and everything. And my daughter, who at the time, she probably been, I don't know, maybe 8 or so, somewhere around there. She just didn't want to go in the basement because it creeped her out. No, but there's a whole house for a basement. I don't detect that that's the challenge here. Just looking at everything that you designed for this family. So pick a room and let's share a screen here and let's take a look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I'm gonna open my screen so you can see what I'm looking at.
Sure.
So this was a new build in Westchester, and the project was from the ground up. There was a much smaller, dilapidated building on the land. It got torn down, and then we built from scratch. Our team had our hands in everything from the floor finish to the moldings to the plumbing to the lighting to everything. And even created this custom staircase railing that you're looking at over here. The whole house really just needed to feel really, really inviting and livable. The biggest request that we got was that kitchen needed to be like a kitchen on crack. It needed to be over the top, the
Mm.
like big, house enough people that you are never overflowing. And the main living space thus became this over the top kitchen, eat-in area, and living room.
I want to give you my description of this overall design here. And I want you to tell me if you envision that or you feel that. When I look at this, I look at contemporary, chic, but also very earthy and very grounded. It's an interesting blend how you go from the granite to the wood to even on the countertop, there's like a vase with sort of like a branch coming out. Looks like somebody went outside and just pulled a branch off, but it works. It's like so like inviting. Uh,
Thank you.
was that part of the vision to blend all of that together?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't like saying this house is just going to be this style, this taste.
Mm,
This is supposed to be an evolution of styles, an evolution of things found over time. I don't like it to feel too stuck in a time frame or too new.
yeah.
Um, and that's why there's so many different like materials here and so many different things for your eye to kind of get lost in. One of my favorite features here is this hood that we had made. It's actually done in steel,
Mm.
um, which nods so nicely to the windows that are right next to it. Um, and then ties so nicely into these more industrial pewter finished fixtures here. There's a lot of really heavy or masculine details, but then brought so lightly and airy with so many other ideas here, like in the marble and in the fabrics and the light fixtures.
Mm.
This kind of balance between the two of them is really what we're good at, and I think what is so unique about our designs in general.
Nicole, I'm gonna say it. It's hot.
Damn straight it's hot.
it, I've got movement. It excites me looking at it because if you were to take away some of the pieces, let's say you went with the granite, you went with the white toned kitchen cabinets. It's all good, and the floor, it's got kind of a contemporary woodish kind of floor. It's all good, but a little safe and sanitized. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. But then when you blend it with the more rustic looking wood cabinet above the countertops, and again, even the branch in a vase, that's just a little, touch right there. It just has so much cool life to it. Very unique. I've never seen anything like this. Got to be honest.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I love bringing in these like little nods of like sexiness into these rooms. Like, why
Yeah.
not?
Yeah.
These kitchens, you spend like probably 50% of your day in here. It should have evoke all of the feelings. And it's amazing at night too, when you just
Mm,
have these, dimly lit overhead lights on, and then you just let these materials kind of like sing in a different way. But it's certainly a space for entertaining.
for sure. And very comfortably so, everything laid out. So this was a new build in Westchester, New York.
Hmm.
Uh, does that excite you when it's from the ground up? And not to say that you don't enjoy going into existing living spaces and totally transforming them, but is there a certain type of excitement when you got a fresh canvas?
Yeah, it's it's exciting because you can really do anything. There are no limitations other
Mm,
than cost. But what is so challenging about these is how to not make it look like everything else. How to add enough detail in here where it doesn't look like it was built in 2023. How to just make it feel like it had evolved over time. And these new constructions are it's very hard to find builders who are willing to put that level of detail into a project. And what we briefly chatted about last time with what these historic homes have, they
Mm,
have these existing beautiful moldings and stuff already in here.
yep.
Now you got to go find them and put them in, and they're, you know, multiple times the cost of what it used to be. So putting this level of detail requires a client who's willing to pay for it. Um, but it also, if they are willing to do that, it allows us to really shine, and that's when
Mm.
it becomes exciting.
In this project, were there some budgets defined where you had to, get it done, but be careful, in terms of going above budget, or, when you were looking for materials, did you have to adhere to a certain area?
Yeah, there's always budgets to follow. And even if clients are a little bit more liberal in, what they want to spend, we are cost conscious. I don't like to spend money. That's
Mhm.
not my goal. I also like to know that we haven't spent too much to the point where like you can never sell this or never move on. So it is always something in the back of my head. But being creative about some elements and some very, very big ticket items. In new construction, the very big ticket items are flooring, windows, doors, siding. Like all of those are huge, huge portions of the budget. And for example, these windows look like they are steel windows, but they're not. They are
Hmm.
done with a very thin frame, but they're wood. So they kind of
Wow.
give you the look, but they're a fraction of the cost that they would have been.
I would have, looking in the kitchen at the hood for the cooking area and the two windows next to it, I would have assumed the hood was a metal. I would have, and then I would have assumed, which I'm sure it is because of what it functions as,
Yeah.
but I would have assumed the windows were metal too.
Yeah.
Wow, you fooled
Yeah.
us.
So
Wow.
um floor is another one where that's a huge one. We're covering, almost 6,000 square feet of interior space in this house.
Mm.
So choosing a width that, the bigger you go, usually the more pricey it gets. So we can kind of fudge the thicker looking wood at a 6 inch instead of a 10 inch, or an 8 inch. So all of these little kind of details help in the overall budget. And if we are more conscious of these things and, flag these things to clients, I think in the long run, they end up trusting us a little bit more, and are more comfortable saying, okay, then let's splurge on something more decorative and it's gonna have like a much bigger impact. Um,
Wow.
like this marble here on the in the hood backsplash. Um, which it does. And that's kind of that's our goal, really, to be able to do these things but not sacrifice in style.
When you're working on a project, do you kind of get excited as well when you can do something that looks very opulent or very pricey, but you found a way to do it with the same kind of quality and vibe where it didn't cost as much?
Totally. That's like the
Mm.
best.
Yeah, right.
I love that. I mean, before I had clients, I did it myself. Before I had people working for me, I did everything myself. So like I'm so used to getting my hands dirty and getting in there and like, finding ways to get the look.
Yep. Yep.
And some things can't be faked, but if the quality is there, I love doing that. And that's what's so cool about, vintage stuff. We lean heavily into, antiques. And so many times you can find like really, really, really cool stuff for a fraction of the cost.
I I'm totally on your page with all of that, and I'm the same. Like every in the I've been doing broadcasting since I was a kid. Not even kidding. Got my first job. I couldn't even have a driver's license, and everything in this studio, which is in an office building near an airport, I wired everything. The IT side, everything. Could I hire somebody? Yeah, sure, no problem. But I take pride in it, and it's fun
Yeah.
doing that way. And when you talk vintage, there's a piece of equipment in the back right over there that I use in radio every day. That's got to be like 30 years old. It works great. Why am I going to get rid of it? It's cool. Same thing with some of the outboard equipment. So yeah, my point here is there's a place for vintage. There's nothing wrong with it. And it's just a certain kind of vibe that comes off of it. And also pride too, when you're getting your hands dirty and just, getting in there and figuring out like the windows,
Yep.
they look like so unique. I would never even think that's wood. I don't know. I don't know how you did it. You pulled it off.
Yeah.
Like did they come that color? Did you paint them?
So we had them pre-finished,
Oh,
which in the long run does save you money. So if you do have the option to pre-finish your windows before they get delivered, do that.
okay.
And it's done by a factory, so it's like, as crisp and clean as could possibly be.
You know what? I'm just going to tell you right now. First thing my mind goes to the delicate lines in
Yeah.
between the panes. Yeah, somebody masking that off and painting it or finishing it. I'm like, oh my gosh, how are you going to get? Not that I have to be a perfectionist, but you want it to look tight and
Yeah.
well done. I don't know how you'd even do that. So yeah, factory finish. There's a place for it.
Yep,
Mm,
absolutely. No, certainly a paintbrush would not be able to get that to
no
look
way.
like that way.
No.
Yeah.
50,000 miles of blue tape ain't going to help you.
Uh, exactly.
Take us to another room.
Yeah.
Where
So
we
I
go,
love that
Nicole?
you mentioned some vintage here. So this is like one of my favorite rooms. So they had a request for this to be a broody room. And this
Mm.
is the place for cocktails, it's for records, it's for lounging. We had the walls hand finished with this lime wash to give it a real cool depth and texture to it. It
But
has
it's
a
not
real
over the top. So it sort of reminds me of I tried doing it once, two houses back, like a faux finish, like
yeah.
I don't know what they call that, where sponge and stuff like that. It's just subtle, but enough to give a little bit of texture, but it's not over the top.
Yeah.
Nice.
This one I love because it like looks like suede a bit.
Yes.
Kind of want to you just want to touch it.
Yep.
But there's so many new companies now that are coming out with these products that are just so easy to use. I've done this back to what we were just talking about in my own house myself. And it's because it's so freeform, you like can't mess up. And it's a really lovely just look and texture to the wall.
Mm.
Um, so this room, we had these on the left, you have a custom record holder, and on the right, we have a custom record player. Um, and these vintage chairs that I love and are from a shop up here in Hudson. And the mix of all of those things together, it just, I just want to hang out in this room.
It is so just for anybody that's not looking at the video, we have, a darker blue kind of vibe to it with the finish that you described, a little bit lighter. You got these brown, very comfortable looking vintage chairs, of course, the record player, the record holder. I can picture like Frank Sinatra with his feet up on the coffee table. Like classic, like almost like sort of like a 60s kind of vibe to it, but not like old and musty and stuffy.
Yeah.
Mm.
And don't forget the whiskey, because on the other side, on the other wall, we have this incredible bar
Wow.
in there. Isn't that fun?
You could have just used shelves, but even the center shelf is shorter than the other ones just
Yeah.
to break I guess, the conformity of it. Really cool.
Yeah.
Like it almost, honestly, that picture of that bar looks so good. It looks like it was AI generated. It really does. It's so perfect, so cool, so
My
nice.
clients will love to hear that. I hope it still looks like that. That's the thing. I think about these houses when I leave them, and I'm like, I hope
Yeah,
they
right.
still look just as perfect as they were in these
Uh,
photos.
Question on that bar area
Yeah.
I can't really tell from the picture. Is that a sink?
It is a sink.
Wow.
There's a
Just,
little baby sink in there.
yeah, just big enough for, washing a glass.
Yep, exactly.
Jeez.
The faucet, it looks like a beer tap.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we did this beautiful surround in the stone. We lined it with a wallpaper that's splattered with gold paint. Um, so many just fun little moments and materials here. And I loved the idea of kind of because the shelves aren't adjustable because of the way that they're, made.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of having these kind of separations allows it to have different things that you can put and,
Yeah.
move and replace.
The picture next to it with the window, the desk, that's not the same room, or is it?
No, it's
Okay.
next to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that an office?
This is a home office. This
Oh,
probably is my favorite piece in the whole house. This was a old vintage desk that I sent to a refinisher to get lacquered in orange.
wow.
And then we had a auto car company come in and cover the whole thing as they would do with a car so
Get
that he can
out.
like draw on it and it won't get ruined.
Sort of like the clear coat. They put the clear coat on the desk.
Exactly.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Isn't that amazing?
I would have never thought of that. And in my brain right now, I'm like, what could I do for that? What can I take to a car company and finish it like that? That the thickness of the finish looks like very thick. And I got to believe too, if you try to brush that polyurethane it, you're never gonna get it like they did it in the car place.
No, that is
Wow.
as crystal clear as it gets.
Yeah. Oof. That's like
Yeah, that's a good
amazing.
glass finish on that.
You know what? One might even think that you cut a piece of glass and put it down on top of the table because it's so rich, bright, shiny, thick.
Yeah.
That is
We thought
really
about
cool.
it. That was option two. If the car company said no, that was one of the interesting conversations I've ever had. Um, just calling someone and asking them to if they're willing to do what they do, but on a piece of furniture.
Yeah, like,
It's
hey,
like,
listen, I don't have an Audi, but I'm gonna bring. Can I bring a desk in? Can you guys do it on a desk? They
oh no,
probably
and I
have.
won't even bring it to you. You have to come and do this for me here in the house.
Wait a sec. They did it on location?
Yes.
Holy blank.
Yep. I know.
Wow. I don't even know how they
Yeah.
do that. That is crazy. That is
It
wow.
was wild. Yeah.
Hmm. What's the finish on the wall? Wallpaper?
It is wallpaper. It looks like a birch wood.
Yes.
Um, yeah, it's got a really nice texture to it.
Boy, this is really hot. Like
Cool, right? Yeah.
it really is. Yeah. We're just about out of time. How about one more picture real quick?
Okay. Um, we can go to, let's see. Oh yeah, we got to talk about this one. This is the primary suite. Um, the architect first came in, she wanted everything to kind of be as a traditional bathroom setup would be, but we're building from scratch. Why not go a little, different?
Sure.
So we came up with this idea of these two floating vanities, and then behind them would be where the bath and the shower would be.
Interesting. It's almost as if the vanities divide the room in a
Yeah.
way, and I don't mean like you can't navigate. It's enclosed, but it adds a division. And then, as you say, in the back of it or the other side of it, then we have the tub,
Yep.
freestanding, by the way. Uh,
Freestanding tub. Love these suspended mirrors from the ceiling. They light up. They're also mirrors in the back. So if you're in the shower and you need to shave or
oh wow,
do you need to do, I love the way this bathroom came out. This was super cool.
very unique. I would have never thought to divide it up with the vanities. And am I seeing this? The left and right both have sinks. They like true sink vanities.
Yes. His and
Wow.
hers. Yep.
Are they, because I can't see in the foreground, are they the same duplicated or is one different than the other one?
Nope. They're exactly the same.
Okay. Wow. It looks like there's tons of storage space in them too.
Yes. Yep. Tons of storage. We even did these little recessed cubby nooks on the side. But they have a ton of storage in this bathroom.
Amazing. When do I move in?
I know. It was so hard to leave here.
It's just
Please
like, I want to
adopt
be
me.
there. I'll meet you there tonight. I want to be there tonight. It's just full of life. Full of
Yeah,
life.
thank you.
Yeah. There was a lot of love and a lot of positive energy put into everything done here. Final question. How long did it take? Once the house was built, how long did it take?
This took to build through completion was about a year and a half. Once the framing was done, a year, 9 months.
Again, we're talking 6,000 square feet.
Yeah.
That was a big project. And one of many on your website. How do we find you?
We are at www.bnrinteriors.com.
Livable luxury. That's what it's all about. Custom, no cookie cutter, and to your specs. Just amazing. Check out the pictures on the website. Even start a conversation. You can go anywhere if it makes sense to work with somebody, right?
Absolutely. We travel wherever our clients are.
Awesome. Nicole, thank you for sharing today. Great having you on.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.